Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today I am going to be doing a interesting video. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but basically I was thinking of, I really love tier ranking videos. Let's start with that. I really love to do tier ranking videos. I like watching tier ranking videos. So I hope that you guys do too, because that's what we're going to do today. For this video, I'm going to be tier ranking all of the 5-star books that I read in 2022. I don't know how this is gonna go. I got all the pictures and everything together, but I have no idea if I'm gonna be able to like tier rank these, if I'm gonna be able to like make the choice, because these are all of them I gave 5 stars. I am going to share my screen and show you what's up with the categories and everything. So let's get to that. Okay, so this is the tier ranking that we have. So I'm just gonna go through the categories. There's only 5 of them. So the first category that I have is My Life Has Changed. These are books that I was emotionally and physically impacted by these books. They are with me forever. I will never be the same because I read these books. The next category that we have is absolute favorite. So they're ones that are still my favorites, but they didn't have that changing impact as the other category. Then I have obsessed right now, which is basically ones that I'm obsessed with them right now, but I don't know if they're gonna hold up over time.
All right, so I'm editing this and I realized that I explained this absolutely awfully. So basically these books, Obsessed Right Now, are ones that I absolutely loved. I read them and I am currently obsessed with them, but that didn't quite make absolute fave, but they could later. These are ones that I need to sit with while I'm obsessed with them right now. They could make absolute fave, but they also could end up being not 5 stars after I think about it for a while. They're just ones that I need to hang on to for a bit and then reevaluate my decision based on how well they've held up over time.
Then I have Stand By It, which basically is just for books that I gave 5 stars. I stand by that they're 5 stars, but they didn't have that like obsessive or emotional impact quality that some of the others had, but they're still 5-star books. And then the last category is Rethinking It, which is basically just, I gave it 5 stars when I first read it, but since then, looking back on it, even without rereading it, I'm a little hesitant to still say that they're 5 stars. Okay, so we have the first one. Let's start. So the first one that I have is actually Sarah J. Maas's House of Sky and Breath. So this book, I'm actually going to go with Obsessed Right Now. I really loved Crescent City Book 1. Crescent City Book 1 would be in My Life Has Changed. I am in utterly love with that book. This one, I liked it. It was really good. I gave it 5 stars, but it didn't have that emotional impact with it, and it doesn't make absolute favorite. I didn't even think about putting it on my top 22 of 2022. I really liked it when I first read it, but I think it's the kind of book that if I reread it, without those big reveals and things that happened in this one, without the reading experience that I had when I first read it, I'll be a little bored. The next one that I have is All Roads Lead Here. I'm gonna put that in absolute fave. I love this book. It is one of my top Mariana Zapata books. I actually did reread it in 2022, so I read it twice in 2022. I gave it 5 stars both times. I really loved it. It's in my top 3 Mariana Zapata books, maybe even top 2 Mariana Zapata books. I absolutely love this book. It doesn't quite make My Life Has Changed, but still total fave. Safe Word is Devil's Snare. I'm going with Stand By It. This one is one of those, I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, but I wasn't obsessed with it. It's not an absolute favorite, anything like that. But if you want a Neville, Hermione, Harry Potter fan fiction where they have to get married and Neville is a dom, highly recommend it. I fully stand by that book being 5 stars. It was so good. The next one that I have is When Heroes Fall. So this one I think I'm gonna go with Obsessed Right Now for this one also. I did really love it when I read it, but this one didn't hit me as much as some of the other Gianna Darling books, I still entirely like this one. And this is one where it gets a little difficult to do this tier ranking because while House of Sky and Breath, I'm not sure I would give 5 stars if I reread it, I still think I would give 5 stars if I reread When Heroes Fall. But I also don't have the like complete urge to reread When Heroes Fall. I loved it, I gave it 5 stars, but I don't have that urge, and I love it. I love it. It's a great book, but it doesn't make absolute fave, so I'm putting it there. The Plan by Carlos Sorensen, I'm putting in Stand By It. I really liked this book. Stand by the 5 stars, but it's not an absolute fave. Rustic Hearts by Amber Kelly, I'm gonna put in Rethinking It. I think if I reread this book, that I wouldn't give it 5 stars. I think that this book was timing. You know how Sam from Sam Reads a Little does those videos where it's like bad book, bad timing? I have the opposite, where I have, is it actually a good book, or did I just fit the mood? Did it just fit the mood I was in? So this book, I really loved. I was in that nice, I want to read small town, I'm feeling emotional kind of mood, and this book fit that really well, but I don't know if I would actually give it 5 stars again, or if it deserves to be 5 stars. Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley, I'm putting an absolute fave. That was on my top 22 of 2022. Go read it. The Lucky Heart by Devney Perry, I'm also putting in Rethinking It, because this is another one where I read it deep in my small town era, and I read The Outpost after I read this one, and The Outpost, I stand by 5 stars. That one's gonna come back. That's a favorite of mine. But The Lucky Heart, comparing it to The Outpost, not 5 stars. I don't think so. Hidden Miles by Claire Kingsley, I'm going with, this one I think I'm also going to go with Obsessed right now. That might change depending on how I feel looking at it later, but that one, I really, really love Claire Kingsley. It doesn't live up to the Bailey Brothers. The Bailey Brothers are definitely better, but this one was my favorite one of this series, and I did really, really love the hero. He's a damaged hero. He's a scarred hero. He's agoraphobic. I really, really liked the hero in it, and I don't know if I really loved the hero or if I really loved the book. Praise by Sarah Kate, I am going with Stand By It. This is an amazing book. Go read it. 5 stars. It holds up. Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, I'm gonna put in the same place. Fully stand by it. It was 5 stars. I fully, if I reread it, think it would be 5 stars again. I really, really loved it, but it didn't have the emotional impact of some of the others on her series. See Me After Class by Megan Quinn. Megan Quinn is hard. I think I'm gonna put this one in. See, this is hard because this is another one where I think that it was the timing that I read it. So I'm gonna put it in, Stand By It. I liked it. I really enjoyed myself reading this book. I had a nice emotional connection to the characters. I gave it 5 stars. I stand by that 5 stars. Is it the best book ever? No. Hate by Tate James, I'm going to put in Stand By It. I really, really loved this book. Actually, I think I'm gonna put it in Obsessed right now. I'm obsessed with this book. I'm obsessed with reverse harems. Hades series by Tate James is probably one of my favorite series that I read in 2023, and it's a great, great series, and it doesn't quite make absolute fave. I think that if I reread it, I would have to reread it to decide if it would be an absolute fave, but I wouldn't mind rereading this one. I do think it would still hold up as 5 stars, and I loved it. For Psychos, I am also gonna go with in the same place. I actually really want to reread this book already. I read it earlier in 2022 and it's fantastic. It's a ghost reverse harem. The Long Game by Rachel Reed, I am going to put in, I don't know if this one makes absolute fave. I'm thinking we're gonna put it in absolute fave for now. Same thing with the Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate. I really, really loved that book, and it was on my top 22 of 2022. It was fantastic. Second Semester by QB Tyler, I'm also putting an absolute fave. I am utterly and completely obsessed with this book. It made me love QB Tyler. It's a taboo, age gap, dad's best friend romance, and it's fire. Headcase by Onley James I'm putting in absolute fave, and Madman I'm putting in obsessed right now. I fully and completely love this series, but Madman doesn't quite make absolute fave, but I'm in love with it. It's definitely 5 stars. This series is fantastic. It's go read it. Faking Miss Right by Claire Kingsley I am also going to put in obsessed right now. I am in love with this book. It is absolutely hilarious. It's fake dating. One of the best fake dating books I might have read so far, but I absolutely loved it. Okay, so Sea of Ruin, I'm going to put in absolute fave, for sure. That one might end up in My Life Has Changed. Is that one going to be in My Life Has Changed? We'll see later. That one might end up in My Life Has Changed, but I loved this book. Twisted Love by Anna Huang, I'm actually going to put in Rethinking It. I didn't love anyone of the books in the Twisted series except this one, but I think that it was the like shiny new toy kind of feel of why I gave it 5 stars, because so many other people were reading it and I was really, really into it, and I really liked the grovel of the hero. I liked their relationship, but looking back, I don't quite know if it's actually 5 stars. Rev to the Max by Melanie Moreland, I'm putting in Stand By It. That book's great. Would recommend. By a Thread by Lucy Score, I'm putting in obsessed right now. That book's amazing. Go read it. Lucy Score is probably going to be a new favorite author, and it's because of this book. Redeemed by Lauren Asher. I utterly loved this book, so we're going to put it in obsessed right now also. Blindside by Handy Steiner, absolute fave. The Bride Goes Rogue, I'm also thinking I might put in absolute fave. I think I'm going to put that one in obsessed right now because the second book in that series, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the sex lessons one, and I loved that one. That one is an absolute fave, but this one, while I still gave it 5 stars, that one is better. Lucian by Bethany Chris, I am going to put in Stand By It. I really love this one. I have a vlog reading this one, and I fully was like reading it so surprised that I gave it 5 stars. This one was one that I really didn't know what to expect. It's actually insta love, and I don't usually like insta love. That's not really something that I usually can handle, but this book did it so well, and I was impressed, and that's why it's there. Captive of the Horde King, I don't know if it's gonna go in absolute fave, but it's going in obsessed right now. I am in love with this series, and this book actually ended up on my top 22 of 2022. I don't know if it fully is going to be hold up as an absolute fave, but it definitely was like, it had to be on my top 22 of 2022. I'm in love with it. I'm obsessed with it. But I don't know if it quite makes absolute fave. The Brazen by Devney Perry, I loved. This was my favorite in that series, and it's so good. The Outpost, I'm putting in absolute fave. Beautifully Broken Control, I'm going with Stand By It. That one was a great book. 5 stars. My first 5 star of Catherine Cowles. That was the first 5 star book that I gave of Catherine Cowles. Stolen Air by Sophie Lark. This one might be the first one for My Life Has Changed. I was so shook by that book that rhymed. That's funny. I was so shaken reading that book. It full emotional impact gutted me. I thought about it for so long afterwards. It left that lasting impact that I was looking for in the My Life Has Changed books, so I think it has to go there. Ever After Always, I'm putting in My Life Has Changed also, not because of so like that book, I loved that book. It did not make my top 22 of 2022. I didn't even think to put it in my top 22 of 2022. Like, it didn't even like come across my consideration, but that book changed the way that I look at marriage and look at marriage between somebody who deals with anxiety or illness or anything like that. And reading that book was so emotional for me, especially with how much I connected to the struggles of the hero, it changed my viewpoint of life, and it needs to go there. The Words by Ashley Jade, absolute fave. Give me more by Sarah Kate, I'm putting in obsessed right now. This one, actually, I think I'm going to switch praise and give me more. Give me more, I stand by it. Praise, I was obsessed with. Give me more didn't give me that obsession vibes. I still gave it 5 stars. I still loved it, and I still stand by the fact that I love it. But praise gave me that obsession feeling. These books gave me obsession feelings. When Villains Rise by Gianna Darling, I am also, it goes right there with When Heroes Fall. I did like When Villains Rise better. That was the second book in the duet. I liked that one better. Like, they're still both 5 stars, but I liked the second one better. Juniper Hill, we're putting in My Life Has Changed. I've talked about that book ad nauseum. We don't need to discuss anymore. I am obsessed, in love with, forever impacted by that book. Hidden Waters by Catherine Cowles, I'm putting in absolute fave. Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting, I'm also putting in absolute fave. I was so taken aback by how much I loved that book, by how much I loved Maverick in that book. Garnet Flats by Devney Perry, I'm putting in obsessed right now. Mercy by Sarah Kate, absolute favorite. Top 22 of 2022, stand by it 100%. Always Practice Safe Hex, same thing, so good. Thin Ice by Cassie Mint, I'm going to put in rethinking it. Not because I think it was bad in any way, but because I think I got caught up in the hype with that one. I read it because so many of my friends were reading it and giving it 5 stars. And I was like, oh my gosh, it must be amazing. They all gave it 5 stars. So I went in with like, it's gonna be a 5-star book, expectations and, or like thoughts and feelings. Like, I feel like I rated that book before I even read it. Lola and the Millionaires, I'm putting in absolute fave. I loved that series. I loved the 2 of them, and I fully and completely will go back and reread that series. The Brawl by Devney Perry, I am going to put in obsessed right now also, right next to The Brazen. That's the other book in that series that I gave 5 stars. So freaking good. Fractured Sky, I'm putting in stand by it. That book was great. Rewriting the Stars by Claire Kingsley, I'm putting in absolute favorite. Again, another one that ended up on my top 22 of 2022. So freaking good. Faith in the Dead End Devils, I'm putting in obsessed right now. Obsessed with that book. So freaking good. I am going to move House of Sky and Breath to rethinking it. Just based on my thoughts when I was talking about it earlier, that I don't think it'll be 5 stars if I reread it. I think that I got caught up in the reveals of the first reading experience. I think it's the reading experience that I gave 5 stars, not necessarily the book itself, which sometimes is fine with me. Like, I definitely am like a mood rater. It's based entirely on how much of my enjoyment of the reading experience of the book itself, not based on like how good the book was, how like well written it was. It's fully based off of my enjoyment of it. And I enjoyed House of Sky and Breath a lot, but it did drag at points. It was boring at points, which while a lot of people say that about Crescent City Book 1, I did not think that Crescent City Book 1 was boring for a second. That book is so big, and so many people are like, the first like 200 pages are so boring. I didn't think that at all. I was like, that book is perfect start to finish. I did not feel that way of House of Sky and Breath, so I'm moving it down. Marrying Winterborn, I stand by it. That book's great. Dern Peppermint Daddy, and he deserves that 5 stars. The Crush by Carla Sorensen, I'm also putting in stand by it. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, I'm putting in stand by it. Nope, I'm putting it in obsessed right now. I loved that book so much. Real by Kennedy Ryan, I'm putting in My Life Has Changed. I was utterly and completely, like I said before, shook by this book. It deserves My Life Has Changed. The way that the love interest dealt with her chronic illness made me believe that as a chronically ill person, I could have a love interest like that. And I loved that. Smash and Grab, I'm putting in obsessed right now. And King and Queen, I'm putting in stand by it. I was obsessed with Smash and Grab because of the, like, it was the first book in the series and everything. And King and Queen, I stand by the 5 stars, but this one I was like obsessed because it was the first book in the series and I was like shocked by all the like dinosaur shifter shenanigans that were going on. That's Smash and Grab by Mathematics. Then Manacled by Senlin Yu is going right up into My Life Is Changed. I have again talked ad nauseum about that book. It's fantastic. I have a whole section on it in my top 22 of 2022. So if you want to hear me like extensive thoughts on that, go watch that video, but utterly changed by it. The Christmas Blanket, I'm putting it in Stand By It. That's by Candy Steiner, and it's the Christmas novella that she has. And it was perfect length, perfect feelings, second chance vibes. It was so good. In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, I'm putting it obsessed right now. That book, the hero in that book, top book boyfriend. Savage Hearts by J.T. Geisinger, also obsessed right now. That book was so fucking good. Obsessed with that book. So good. Honestly, actually, I think I'm gonna put that one in absolute fave. Yeah, we're gonna put that in absolute fave. I'm in love with it. Broken Vow by Sophie Lark is also going in My Life Is Changed. I am Riota Griffin. I tend to love books that I feel connected to, that I relate to the heroines. I don't relate to a lot of heroines, but when I relate to the heroines, I connect to the book that much more and I feel myself in those books, and Riona Griffin is one of my top heroines that I connect with. A Reckless Match by Kate Bateman, I'm putting in obsessed right now. I love that book. I was obsessed with it. I still am obsessed with it. I want to reread it before I read the next 2 books in the series, but utterly amazing. Rival families, historical, so good. Egotistical Puckboy, I'm putting in Stand By It. I really loved that book. Irresponsible Puckboy, we're putting in absolute fave. That book is hilarious, fantastic. Another one in my top 22 of 2022. Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This one was on my top 22 of 2022, but I don't know if I want to put it in absolute fave. I think I'm going to put it in, oh, I don't know about that one. That's a really hard one. Hefty by Jessica Kane, we'll skip to that one. Hefty by Jessica Kane, I'm putting in Stand By It. That one is adorable and I loved it. Waking Olivia, I'm having a hard time with because I did put it in my top 22 of 2022. I do love it, but I don't know if I feel right with it being an absolute fave. But it wasn't like an obsession type book. I think I'm gonna put it in absolute fave. I think that that's the best place for it because I do absolutely love it. I do have to reread that book though. That is one that I have to reread. But that is all of them. That was 65 books, all 65 5-star reads from 2022 ranked. So I hope that you liked that ranking. I hope that I didn't go too fast. I didn't want this video to get overly long, so I did go very quickly, but I had a really fun time doing this. That was hard. That was hard. I love all of these books. Even the ones that I put in Rethinking It doesn't make me love them any less. It just means that they might not be 5 stars, but let's go with it this way. They might not be 5 stars, but they were 5-star reading experiences, and I still love them. They might just be like 4.5 stars instead of 5 stars, but so good. Will definitely stand by. These are all my 5-star books from 2022. So that is all that I've got for you. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about my ranking. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about tier ranking videos in general, because I really do like making them, but if you guys hate them, I might just like not do them as often. Not that I do them very often right now. Unimportant. Anyway, that's it for this video. So please like it if you liked it, subscribe so you can see more content from me, and I hope that you have the absolute best day. Bye.